I'm Brian Warner with Common Cause NC, filling in for Ann Webb, and here are 5 things you need to know this week in North Carolina politics.
Number 1. Republican House and Senate leaders are still wrangling over the state budget behind closed doors, as they've been doing for weeks now. Meanwhile, the full General Assembly was back in Raleigh this week to take up other legislation. The Republican supermajority voted to override vetoes by Democratic Governor Roy Cooper on controversial bills affecting transgender youth, charter schools, and more. Advocates for LGBTQ rights spoke out against the legislature's veto overrides this week, which included the legislature imposing a prohibition on transgender youth from having access to gender-affirming care.
Our families will continue telling their stories of supporting their kids' gender journeys. We will not be silenced. We will not be erased. Together, we rise up, we fight back.
Number 2. On Wednesday night, the Republican-controlled legislature pushed through Senate Bill 747, which imposes barriers to casting a ballot in North Carolina. The measure could disenfranchise thousands of voters who rely on absentee voting by mail. Under a long-standing law adopted with unanimous support by the legislature in 2009, absentee ballots postmarked on or before Election Day have been able to be accepted by the county boards of elections up to 3 days after Election Day. But Senate Bill 747 would demolish that important safeguard by eliminating the 3-day grace period entirely and jeopardizing the ballots of thousands of North Carolina voters. The loss of the grace period could especially hurt older voters, people with disabilities, rural residents, and anyone who relies on casting a mail-in absentee ballot as a lifeline for exercising their right to vote.
Because we're not fixing anything today. We are making it harder for people to have a voice.
Common Cause North Carolina and other pro-democracy groups are urging Governor Cooper to veto the anti-voter provisions of Senate Bill 747. Number 3. North Carolina is approaching 2 months into the new fiscal year, and yet Republican legislative leaders have still not produced a new state budget. The lack of a new spending plan is delaying raises for teachers and state employees, as well as funding for North Carolina's election system and other crucial areas of government. The delay on a new budget is also delaying implementation of Medicaid expansion. One of the holdups on actually passing a new budget appears to be disagreement among Republican lawmakers about expanding casinos to several areas of North Carolina, including in Rockingham County, home to powerful Senate Republican leader Phil Berger. This week, advocates for expanding Medicaid called on the legislature to stop the delay and allow Medicaid expansion to move forward so that hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians can access life-saving health care.
People are hurting. People desperately need health care now. The health care that we were promised in March. And it is time to stop gambling with our lives and enact Medicaid expansion now.
Number 4. This week, the Rev William Barber and other faith leaders delivered a letter to legislators demanding that lawmakers cease and desist from enacting harmful policies in North Carolina.
North Carolinians of every race, creed, color, and political party are saying this is not right. It is wrong for folk to be using their power to create all this division and distraction rather than to focus on the issues that would uplift.
The full letter can be read at breachrepairers.org. Number 5. Our Unite NC Town Hall Tour continues to move forward across North Carolina, with stops this past week in Wilmington and Salisbury. So far, hundreds of North Carolinians have attended these nonpartisan town halls, sharing their views and concerns about this year's legislative session and holding lawmakers accountable to the public.
Fired up! Ready to go!
Learn more about our Unite NC Town Hall Tour and see upcoming stops near you at ccnc.me/UniteNC.
And those were 5 things to know this week in North Carolina politics. We want to hear from you. Join us online anytime at commoncausenc.org.